Yo, welcome to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. So, I've been gone a while, haven't been feeling too good, haven't been uploading, but we're back. So, right now we have Aragorn's sword, Anduril explained. Shout out to Hello Future Me. Click the subscribe button. Go check them out. Let's do this. Oh, this is just asking to get copyrighted. Okay.
Hey Furies, I own a number of sword models, including Hardafung Arwen's sword, a Gilded Sting, and Attack
what did
on
that say at the
Titan
top?
Blade, and this weird one that cost Gilded Sting and Attack on Titan Blade, and this weird one that cost me $20. But I do not own Anduril, Aragorn's sword in the War of the Ring. Today I want to talk to you about its history, its lore, whether it's magical, and
10 points to anyone who can tell me about the symbol of my necklace. Well, that would be easy. Right there, you've got a shuriken attacking a moon, which means it's kind of hard to grasp. Basically, it means that with what's going on in the world, the blade resembles the circumference of the system of I have no idea what I'm talking about.
connections that Tolkien made to other mythologies. Now, the story of the reforged sword, Anduril, begins in the first age of Middle-earth with a blade known by the name of Narsil. In the Two Towns, we learned that it was forged.
1 second. Someone's bloody cutting the grass as soon as I start a video. Jeez. Alright. We're back.
By a famed dwarven smith. In this elvish heath dwells the blade that was broken and has been made again. Telkar first wrought it in the deeps of time. The smith of Nogrod.
Wait, is that this video? What the hell? I'm so confused. I wasn't expecting like the EDM in the background.
Were renowned. Now, Telkar actually designed a number of important pieces of armor or weaponry in Middle-earth. And interestingly, it's well known that Tolkien loved to reference other mythologies, and the name Telkar is probably a reference to the Telkines of Greek mythology. They were known as fantastic smiths and metallurgists.
Everyone says to me, Norse mythology. No, stop mentioning Greek. Just keeps popping up. Just keeps popping up. Everyone loves Greek mythology, even Tolkien.
Crafting both Kronos' scythe and Poseidon's trident. But let's break down what the name Narsil actually means. It comes from two words in Quenya, Nar meaning fire and
That's crazy. Nar in Arabic is fire. A nar.
Seal meaning shine or silver light. Think of it as naming the sword Firelight. Then, eventually, because every magic sword needs a moment to shine, in the year 3441, the War of the Last Alliance was coming to its end at the Siege of Barad-dûr. And at that point it was written that the sword of Elendil broke under him as he fell and died. But Sauron was also thrown down, and with the hilt shard of Narsil, Isildur cut the ruling ring from the hand of Sauron and took it for his own. It was the weapon that ended the war with Sauron once and for all. Well, not quite, but it marked the beginning of the Third Age and became the infamous Broken Blade, or the sword that was broken.
But what happened to it after that, Tim?
You know, I'm not surprised you don't know Sauron because you were all disembodied. I know, touchy subject. On a side note, it's raining really hard because we're in the middle of a cyclone. Anyways, after the disaster of Gladden Fields, which is where Isildur died, it's written that 3 men only came ever back over the mountains after long wandering. One of these was Ortar, the esquire of Isildur, who bore the shards of the sword of Elendil to Rivendell. And then eventually, Narsil came in due time to Valandil, Isildur's here in Imladris. But the blade was broken and its light was extinguished, and it was not forged anew. And Master Elrond foretold that this would not be done until the ruling ring should be found again and Sauron should return. But the hope of the elves and men was that these things should never come to pass. So these shards were passed down as heirlooms through the kings of Arnor that Aragorn is distantly related to, until eventually they came into the hands of the Rangers of the North, who Aragorn led as chief, alongside Mishi, of course, as supreme leader. All hail Mishka. It was after that we finally get to the story that we all know and love,
so bad.
the reforging. The sword of Elendil was forged anew by elvish smiths, and on its blade was traced a device of 7 stars set between the crescent moon and the rayed sun, and about them was written many runes, and Aragorn gave it a new name and called it Anduril, Flame of the West. Now let's take a
Oh,
moment
yeah.
to break down this description. Firstly, in its own way, the reforging of the sword with the shards of Narsil is meant to reflect the reforging of the line of kings of men in Aragorn. Secondly, the name Anduril is meant to be an amalgamation of two Quenya words, Andun meaning west, though Tolkien did specify that this wasn't referring to a sunset as in Flame of the West, but rather Numenor, the region of man, which fits given that it's meant to be the reforging of the line of kings, going right back to Numenor, as well as the word real meaning glittering or brilliance, and we can see this in other words like Mithril or Silmaril. Thirdly, the blade features an inscription of 7 stars. What does that mean? This is actually a reference to a common symbol in Middle-earth known as the Valacirca, and high in the north, as a challenge to Melkor, she set the crown of 7 mighty stars to swing.
I love how this guy says 7. It's such a good accent. 7 mighty stars.
The sickle of the Valar and a sign of doom. To understand this reference, we need to know who Melkor was. Well, he was Tolkien's original big bad, with minions and demons and way too much time on his hand to take over the world. But he was also Sauron's boss. Yes, Sauron has a boss. Anduril bearing the image of the Valacirca is a symbol of defiance and challenge to not just Sauron, but the root of all chaos and evil in the world, Melkor, or otherwise known as Morgoth. But was Anduril magical? Tolkien was no stranger to magical objects in Middle-earth, so it wouldn't really come as a surprise, and interestingly, there are a number of quotes that do seem to give either Narsil
Surely it
or
had to be,
Anduril
right?
magical properties. In particular, these abilities are mostly to do with light. In one line it says, "Very bright was the sword when it was made whole again. The light of the sun shone readily in it, and the light of the moon shone cold, and its edge was hard and keen." In another line, "And the sword of Elendil filled orcs and men with fear, for it shone with the light of the sun and the moon, and it was named Narsil." And even more explicitly in the Fellowship of the Ring, "But even as the orc swept out his scimitar, Anduril came down upon his helm. There was a flash like flame, and the helm burst asunder." And even before that, Elrond references it having special properties to do with light. But Narsil was broken and its light extinguished, and it has not yet been forged again. Now, whether this light is merely symbolic or not, Tolkien never explicitly gave Aragorn +4 flame damage when he rolled his d8. Now, Aragorn did say in the Two Towers that anyone who wielded the sword
Nice.
that wasn't the heir to the throne of Gondor would surely die, but this is probably more likely to be a threat than anything else. Rather, it's more likely that Anduril
I've actually never played D&D in my life, but I'm currently playing a game called Pathfinder Kingmaker. Come watch on Twitch, 5 PM every day on twitch.tv/OmarioRpg, UK time. Just go follow my Twitch. And I'm learning the Pathfinder rule set, which is kind of close to the 5e rule set. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of dice rolls, and it's a lot of fun.
has magic in the same sense that Excalibur for King Arthur did. Excalibur is described in various myths as causing terror in his enemies or shining with the light of 30 torches, all of which are far more subtle powers than +10 lightning damage. Though it is worthy of note that light itself does seem to hold some power in Tolkien's Middle-earth, a world where evil is largely personified by darkness. But this all said, there is actually one power that Tolkien makes very clear. But it isn't to do with the sword, rather the sheath that Galadriel gave Aragorn in the Fellowship of the Ring. "The blade that is drawn from this sheath shall not be stained or broken ever in defeat," Galadriel said. And this actually too may be a reference to King Arthur, because in a number of the earlier myths, it wasn't Excalibur that was magical, but its scabbard. It supposedly stopped him from ever shedding blood in battle. And on that note, if you'd like to hear more about the myths around King Arthur and Excalibur, I've actually made a video on it with a friend of mine, and you can check that out, hopefully by clicking the link up in the corner of the screen there. Tolkien wrote Anduril to be the sword that was broken, or the sword reforged, and this is actually a very common motif in a number of other myths, which we know that Tolkien loved to draw from. For example, in the Norse Volsungs, we see that Sigmund's sword is reforged into Gram, which Sigurd then uses to kill Fafnir. In fact, this is probably the first place that Tolkien came across this trope in a story. So the story of Narsil and Anduril come to an end. The question of the day is, what is your favorite sword, either in
Oh, it's gotta
history
be
or in a fictional
Anduril.
story? Let me know down in the comments.
Let me hear the question again.
Sword, either in history or in a fictional story.
Not my favorite sword, but I love the fact that Geralt has a silver one for monsters, and I just love the fact that Geralt's just walking around with 2 swords. Like, it doesn't really get more badass than that, does it? I don't think his swords have names, though. It's got to be Anduril, right? Anduril. It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be.
Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoy this or like what I make, I would love for you to come support me
Great
on
video.
Patreon for us to
Great
donate
video.
a couple of dollars.
Go show him love. That was a really good video. Shout out to Hello Future Me. Sokka's meteor sword is pretty sick. Isn't it? Huh? The symbol of the necklace is the moon and star symbol for the ring of Anduril. Never. You have your 10 points, Tim. Favorite sword probably has to be the Thunder Fury, blessed blade of the Windseeker. Okay. What the hell? Oh, Avatar. Oh, I've never watched Avatar in my life. He never got +4 flame damage. Yeah, that was brilliant. Came for Lord of the Rings, staying for cat worship. My favorite sword would probably be Longclaw from A Soul of Lingering Affirmity Friend. It was given to John as a gift from his Lord Commander for saving his life. A beautiful wolf head on it. This isn't a Game of Thrones, right? A Song of Light and Fire. I preferred my version. Yeah, John's sword was pretty badass. How's no one saying Geralt's? Shame. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. 60% of you aren't subscribed. Why? Hit that beautiful button. Let's get to 400 subscribers. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.